It's been 6 years since the release of Halloween 2018, and today I wanted to tell you guys the sad truth about Halloween 2018, but why it was necessary at the same time. Let's discuss it. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Nick here from the Lost River Drive-In, and today I want to specifically talk about Halloween 2018. Now, I got the idea for this video when I was in Philadelphia the other day, and I was at a Barnes & Noble's, and I saw the novelization for the 2018 Halloween movie, and I thought, wow, that's really cool. I have the Kills and Ends novelization. Maybe I'll pick that up. And it really got my mind going about 2018 and kind of thinking back to that point in time. Where we were, where we are now, and why things went the way they did. See, let me take you on a little bit of a journey here. I was one of the few people that saw Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 opening night, Friday, August 28th, 2009, in theaters. I was there. I was so excited for that movie. And if you know me, you know that I absolutely adored that movie from day one, and still do, if not even more so now. And then we would go through the doldrums, a period of almost a decade, where there was nothing happening with Halloween. Now, we'd come to find out there was stuff happening with Halloween as the years went on. Lots of discussions, lots of pitches, but no real starts on any project. Until Jason Blum came along and decided to revive the franchise. When I started this video, I said I wanted to talk to you guys about the sad truth of Halloween 2018, but also why it was necessary. Look, the sad truth of Halloween 2018 is kind of twofold. One, it is in a lot of ways a remake of Halloween H2O, doing something they had already done, treading ground that had already been treaded by the same franchise 20 years prior. The other sad truth about Halloween 2018 is it really kickstarted this legacy sequel craze that we're in currently right now. But it was the right thing to do at the right time for this franchise. Now, if you guys know me, you know that I prefer Ends and Kills to Halloween 2018. Actually, with the trilogy, I go backwards. Ends is my favorite, Kills is in the middle, and 2018 is my least favorite. And it is because of those sad truths that Halloween 2018 kind of has soured on me over the years. And even when I saw it for the first time, I wasn't a massive fan of it. See, we've got to look at where the series was at the time. Who was going to pick up these rights? It had been almost a decade. The last movie really didn't leave a good taste in anybody's mouth. It didn't make a lot of money. And Michael Myers had kind of drifted off into anonymity. So if you're going to bring it back, how do you do that? Jason Blum had the right idea. If you're going to reinvigorate this series, you have to bring some of the major players back. And those major players are obviously Jamie Lee Curtis, John Carpenter, Nick Castle. Anybody that was still alive, that was a part of that first film or its legacy, had to come back on board to get the fans excited again. But it was deeper than that. It wasn't just for the fans. Look, Jamie Lee Curtis, love her or hate her, she is a big movie star and has been for decades. When you put Jamie Lee Curtis at the forefront of your movie and she's all throughout your marketing, you're gonna bring normies in to see your movie. Now, you could have done a legacy sequel to the Thorn trilogy, or you could have done a sequel to Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 all these years later, but that's not going to bring a lot of just the curious, casual movie-going audience in. But someone like Jamie Lee Curtis would. Also, adding John Carpenter's involvement, and specifically making him the composer of this film, would bring a lot of those fans that were burned out on Rob Zombie's 2 movies back into the fold. At the time, all of these things were necessary. But because of that, they had to do the Laurie Strode and Michael Myers storyline again. Now, 20 years earlier, you had Halloween H2O. They already did that. You're really going to do that again? They got a little creative, but you could also make the argument a little lazy. They said, oh, we'll write everything out except the original. So now they're not brother and sister. They've never met each other since that night. And there's no real reason why he's chasing her, because he's not chasing her. He's just on the loose in Haddonfield. Now, on one hand, that is closer to John Carpenter's original intent with the character. There was no reason. There was no motive. He was a soulless killing machine that was pure evil. Supernatural, hinted at, maybe, but never directly addressed. So Halloween 2018's bones, its idea, was very much in line with the original Halloween. So, in ways you could say, okay, very true to the original film. The reason for that is because they had to. Look, they wanted to bring the series back, so they had to bring Jamie back, but in order to do that, you had to write away everything that happened, because she died. She's Michael's sister. Go on down the line for the reasons why you had to write everything out of continuity. But it worked. They came up with that story. It was a soulless, mindless killer that was just on the loose. He didn't specifically want Laurie Strode. And guess what? The movie was a huge hit. It spawned a trilogy. It brought Michael Myers back to the forefront. And it was a win-win for everyone, right? Including the fans. But this fan always had a weird relationship with this movie. And still does. Because I feel like Halloween H2O did it better. And this is coming from somebody that isn't the biggest Halloween H2O fan, although I was all throughout my childhood and teenage years. But as I got older, I started to see a lot of the cribbing off of Scream, and I was like, this is, I don't know, a little unnecessary. You didn't need to do this. You're Halloween. You're what inspired Scream. Why try to be Scream? But those minor complaints aside, I think H2O did it better than Halloween 2018 because it had the brother-sister connection. There was so much more weight to them facing off again. This was her brother. She changed her name. She moved all the way across the country. She tried to hide. Even though she expected him to be dead, she also didn't really believe it. Everyone expected him to be dead, but they didn't really believe it. She was fearful. She was running, and you can run, but you can't hide. Eventually, they come face to face again, and it's really emotional, and it's really impactful. And also, I feel like 2018 is a little bit undercut because it's not the first time. See, just seeing them reunite for the first time again in almost 20 years on screen was a big deal. Doing it 20 years later, it's like, okay, it's cool, but like, we already saw this anniversary movie. So that's not really the film's fault that H2O already happened, but it still is a mark against the movie and its impact because we have seen it. I think that brother-sister relationship, although I have argued with myself for years and years about what I think was the right way to go. Do you do brother and sister or do you not? Regardless of that, I think that made H2O such a bigger deal than 2018 ever was in my mind. It doesn't have the same sentimentality. It doesn't hit the same. It doesn't cut as deep. But as I said, 2018 was the way to go. The money talks. Critics liked it. Fans liked it for the most part. And it brought Michael Myers back to the forefront. He was the Michael Myers that we hadn't seen in years. He was the king. And that, at the end of the day, was Jason Blum's goal. But as I said, another sad truth about it is that it started this legacy sequel trend. Now, some of them are really, really good, and some of them are really bad, and some of them are just totally unnecessary. I say that as a sad truth because I know there's a lot of people in the horror space and the community that really hate the legacy sequel trend. And look no further than Halloween 2018 for really kickstarting that. I've always found it kind of ironic that Halloween has started so many different waves throughout history. 78 comes along, and then you have Jason and Freddy. Halloween 2007 comes along, and then you have Jason and Freddy. Halloween 2018 comes along, and you still don't have Jason and Freddy, but that's when you really start to get these legacy sequels. Ghostface, anyone? That, in and of itself, is really interesting. It's like these companies and these filmmakers wait for Michael Myers to kind of like, I don't know, lay the groundwork. Like, okay, the door's open now. Michael Myers walked so they could run. However you want to put it. But again, I know some people hate that. I'm indifferent on the legacy sequel trend. I feel like if there's enough returning people from the movie that they're making a sequel to, then it actually does have some gravitas. It packs a punch for me, and it gives me a reason to go see it. But if you're doing it haphazardly with no real connection to the previous film, I'm looking at you, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, then I don't need it. It just seems like an excuse to make a movie because somebody else did it. So it might have sounded like I was sitting here complaining about Halloween 2018, but I'm really not. Because as I said, both things can be true. The movie kind of was lazy and kind of was inherently weaker than H2O in certain aspects. But at the same time, it was absolutely necessary to bring Halloween back in the way that they did. So I have a love-hate relationship with the movie. I don't find myself revisiting it as much as I do with Kills and Ends, and that's simply just because I also feel like Danny McBride and David Gordon Green and everybody involved were really finding their footing with 2018, finding their way into the horror space. There's a lot of dialogue in it that doesn't really feel like the way characters talk, but there's a lot of really good stuff in the movie too. There were enough nuggets there for me to go, this is going to turn out to be something really special when it's all said and done. And I'm happy that, in my opinion, I was right. The interesting thing about the Blumhouse trilogy is that everybody has a movie for them. I have found that at least one of these three movies, everybody will find one that they at least enjoy. And that's cool, because if that is the case, Halloween coming back wasn't a waste of time. And so at the end of the day, Halloween 2018, being the movie that it is, was the right thing to do. Even if I felt like a movie before did it a little bit better. But I want to hear your guys' thoughts down below in the comments section. What's your relationship with Halloween 2018 been like? Do you agree that H2O had more weight to it, but 2018 was the natural way to go if they were going to bring Michael back? Would you have liked to have seen something different? Let's discuss all that and more in the comment section down below. I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please leave a like on the video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. This is Nick at the Lost River Drive-In, and I'm pulling out.